What's shaking, everybody? My name is Ross Mandell. I'm coming to you guys live today. We're coming from Delray Beach, Florida, Scott Woolley Studios, and what a treat I have for you all today. We got a hard stop, so I got to make sure I get moving quickly. I want you to meet Eddie Wilson, the Aspire Tour, a fascinating business guy, entrepreneur, leader, exits. I mean, we're going to cover a lot of ground. Eddie, thank you for coming on today. I'm so appreciative.
Yeah, glad to be on. Thanks for the opportunity.
I want to roll the clock back a little bit because who is Eddie Wilson? I'll be very candid. I'm new to this influencer space. I was a Wall Streeter for 40 years. I was a very highly paid speaker on Wall Street. I would speak to guys that are making $500,000 to $5 million a year, and my job was to motivate them. Can you imagine? And I was very good at it, apparently. They paid me lots of money, and the results spoke for themselves. I've taken over 140 companies public. And so when I read about I read the work that my team did on you, and they talked about all these businesses you've been involved in, and they focused on the word exits, I got excited. Because
Sure.
my favorite sign in every room is the exit sign. And I get that idea. So let's talk about it. Where'd you grow up, Eddie? Tell us about early life for you.
Sure. Yeah, grew up in Ohio, Midwestern kid, and my mom and dad are both entrepreneurs. So I grew up in a home of people that were pushing the boundaries and trying to make things happen. And so a lot of that rubbed off on me in the early days. And so that's where I grew up. Very, very humble beginnings for sure. And then my mom and dad both have had success in their careers as well through building and scaling businesses.
Where in Ohio, Eddie?
Yep. So near Akron, so Northeast Ohio.
You poor thing.
Yeah.
What a rough place to come from. I'm going to tell you. My
Rubber
least favorite
world.
state is Ohio. And there's nothing against Ohioans.
Yeah.
But when I was a youngster in business, I had many accounts that were assigned to me because nobody else wanted to service them. So I'd go to Akron and Columbus and et cetera, and oh boy, not a place for a young man that wants to have fun.
Yeah. No.
Hang out. But you grew up in a tent revival family. What does that mean?
So no, I didn't necessarily grow up in a tent revival family. I grew up in a very faith-based household. And grew up going to church. Church was very much a part of the pathway. I definitely followed a pathway of faith too, and ended up getting a degree in theology in my 30s. But yeah, not necessarily anything different than the average person, just going to church and, being a part of a family that was very focused on faith and missions and giving back.
Were they in the ministry, your family?
No, they were not.
They were not preachers or in
No.
ministry. But you grew up around, you say you got a degree in theology later in life. So
I do.
the church, faith, I mean, you went every Sunday, was that fair to say?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, went every Sunday. And really, I think we all get to that place later after I had a lot of success in business. You get to this place where another dollar, another house, another vacation doesn't really give you satisfaction or fulfillment. And, that was the time in my life when I went back and just started doing some soul searching. What do I believe? What do I want to incorporate in my life? And so that's when I got a degree in theology and really, started trying to discover who God was in my life.
I love it. My story mirrors yours in an odd way.
Really?
But I also, I got sober when I was 33 after making tens of millions of dollars and then blowing through it.
Sure.
Drugs, alcohol, and all that. And
Sure.
just a heathen.
Yeah.
I mean, the animal soul got the best of me. But I got clean. I got sober, 33 years old. I found God again.
Yeah.
And I began my journey because I had all this money. I mean, I had $30 million on my 30th birthday.
Yeah.
And at my account. And I thought I was done. And I went through it in less than 3 years. But I was miserable. And later in life, I would have a net worth of over $350 million. And the thing that got me whole was just marriage, kids, and my faith in God. But so you had a similar type experience. Now, did you go to college? You grew up in Ohio.
I did. I started out at Temple, transferred back to Ohio State. So graduated from Ohio State in broadcasting and marketing.
A Buckeye.
a Buckeye through and through. Can't help it.
I love it.
And then ended up down in Atlanta, Georgia, for grad school at Emory.
Wow. Okay. So you're an educated fellow, and this is before the theology study, because this is
This is
your.
long before the theology study. Yes, sir.
Okay. So now you're getting your master's. I'm guessing MBA.
Yeah.
Emory, great school. Ohio State, great school. I mean, big rah rah.
Mhm.
50,000 kids, the whole thing. Great sports. And what happens next? What's Eddie Wilson like?
Yeah, so I went into corporate. I went into television and radio and was managing different TV and radio assets in my 20s. Had some pretty good success and climbed the ladder. But, growing up in a house full of entrepreneurs, I got tired of being told what to do, and I got tired of my ideas being pushed down. And so I ended up leaving. I ended up starting an advertising agency in my 20s, and ended up building that to a sizable amount. Ended up having my first exit there, and really it was at that point when I had lots of money and had everything that I ever wanted, that you're not satisfied. It's like, do you just go chase another big mountaintop, or what are you going after? What's the point of it? And so that's like at the point in my life where I began to start really trying to decide, because very much like when you grow up in a faith-based family like I did, like a very church-oriented household, God is your parents. Like your parents
I
have
get
this
it.
thing and they go, and you go because they go, and there's no real relationship, no understanding. And so it wasn't until closer to my 30s that really, the faith and the God that they kind of attached to really became real in my life.
Interesting. So now you're in your 20s. You're a young man,
Yeah.
and if you don't mind me asking, how old are you now?
45.
Youngster.
Yes,
Wow.
sir.
Okay. I'm like Uncle Ross, and, and you went into advertising because I guess you learned you saw something in your TV experience, right? Your broadcasting experience,
Yeah. I,
and
I had a marketing and broadcasted degree, and what I saw was any innovative idea that I had in TV and radio was really pushed down,
yeah,
but the advertisers were very interested. And so, I had accounts like Subway and Buffalo Wild Wings, and these guys were willing to push the envelope, but I couldn't do it inside the corporate setting. So I stepped outside of the corporate setting, started an ad agency that did a lot more promotions and public relations and things like that. Eventually, we did all the ad buying for them. But yeah, that was how I jumped out. Was just I felt kind of stifled in the corporate environment, and so I started my own thing.
I love it. That's a great story. It shows who you are in your 20s, so it's very aggressive,
Sure,
and I appreciate that. I know you're probably a real people person. This is our first time meeting, so we don't know each other yet. But you're a
sure,
people person, and you saw opportunities, and these are big accounts.
sure.
If these accounts are willing to give you a shot, it's worth having your own, right? It's worth
That's right.
becoming that entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
And so at some point, you came up with some innovative ideas that
Mhm.
just corporate was, they were locked and loaded. They had their own way of doing things, and it's very, very difficult to impede,
Mhm.
on their territory in an odd way. You'd think that they would want,
Yeah.
young, smart guys to give them proper feedback so they could pivot and adjust and make moves, but it doesn't really work like that in the real world.
No.
It's like an
No.
academia thing.
Yeah.
But in the real world, people are very stubborn and closed-minded and set in their ways and don't bother me and just take your
Yeah.
check and be grateful and all these different things. And you're like, we could do this better. We could
Right.
do more, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I get that. So now what happens? You sell? Did you sell it? You actually made a sale. You sold the advertising agency.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a little bit of a crazy story. I didn't intend to sell it. I was trying to source capital. So when you have these big accounts, you have to put out their advertising dollars to the TV and radio stations and billboard companies. And you may have to sit on their ad spend for 30, 60, 90 days. So I was out trying to source capital. Ended up with an investment banking group, and Merrill Lynch kind of helped me through that process. I was just looking to source institutional capital for the contracts I had, and ended up at closing day thinking I was good to go. And the three guys sitting across from the table were executives from the largest ad agency in the world, and they just said, "Hey, who you thought you were getting capital from is different than what it actually is. And by the way, you want to know who you took these accounts from? Us. And by the way, we know that you're overextended, and if you don't, and you got basically one option today, and that's to sell to us or, suffer the consequences." Well, the consequences were I had stepped out by faith, went ahead and placed all these ads. So I had $30 million extended that I couldn't pay for. So it was bankruptcy and a massive failure if I didn't take it. So I ended up having to sell the company, and they were fair. They gave me a 7 times EBITDA, multiple, and it took me a little while to get right with that process because I felt like they took my company from me. But in the end, I ended up with a large sum of capital and the opportunity to keep growing. So I look back on those days today. I was frustrated the days that they happened, but
I can
today I
imagine.
look back and it was a huge blessing.
I coming from the market, I always advise my people. I said, look, you never get hurt taking a profit, and that also means making a print, selling a company.
That's right.
Cash is king. You know what I mean? We used
That's
to
right.
say CIF, cash in fist. Don't tell me what you get coming. Don't tell me what you own.
Yeah.
Tell me how much liquid capital you have. It's an
Yeah.
interesting way to look at the world. But okay, so this is pretty cool now. So I understand your frustration because they paid you 7 times because the market's paying them 15 to 20 times,
Sure.
and so it was a reasonable number. But for a young man, you're like, now what, right? So now what? How old?
Now
27,
what?
28?
Yeah, I was 27, 28. And so I'm sitting across that table and I made 2 promises that day. Number one, I said, I'll never sit on this side of the table again, uninformed and unaware. I mean, these Wall Street guys, took me to the shed that day and I didn't even know it was coming, So I decided I'd figure that out. And then the second promise that I made to myself was, then if I'm sitting on that side of the table where I'm actually acquiring companies, then I'm not going to do it the way that they did it. I'm going to be fair. I'm going to be equitable, and there's going to be an opportunity for all of us to win. So, that really was the catalyst that then started everything. Because at that point, I was on a quest, and I would say the first little while it might have been vengeance, but after that, it turned into passion and just trying to understand it and understand what they do. And it's fascinating to me about this concept of exiting companies was it taught me a lesson. I grew up in the home of an entrepreneur, and I'm also a 3rd-generation real estate investor. So grandpa's a real estate investor, dad's a real estate investor. I understand appreciating assets. But what I didn't understand that really was a fascinating thing to me was this concept of multiples. Like, they literally gave me a 7 times EBITDA, meaning that if I would have done the exact same thing with no more success or no less success for 7 years, it would have taken me 7 years to earn the capital that I earned the day that I sold. And they essentially gave me 7 years of my life back. Well, when that concept hit, like, wait a minute, I could sell companies on multiples and essentially I'm shrinking down time. So instead of buying, building, and operating companies, I'm going to buy, build, and sell these companies. I can shrink down the time it takes to actually make the money. So that concept really stuck with me. And that's why, I've sold over 125 companies now. It's like that's a process I've perfected.
It's very interesting is I'm a Wall Street guy, who's made the leap now into this space, this influencer space. I was a highly paid speaker, maybe one of the most highly paid ever in the history of Wall Street. And what you just shared is what I'm doing currently. I don't want to get too much into it because it would require a non-disclosure, et cetera. But
Sure.
literally, I only play in the win-win game right now. And I'm doing something that's never been done, but it's along the exact lines of what we just discussed, which is fascinating to me. I see how your mind works, and obviously I'm talking to the more sophisticated Eddie Wilson but that was your first real exit, your first experience. The boys did take you to the shed, but you learned, and that's the most important thing. And you prospered, even though it wasn't maybe what you wanted.
Right.
God had a plan for you, so sometimes you take it and you say thank you and you move on next, right?
Sure.
So
You got it.
you're now sitting with some cash. You're a young man, and now what? Do you stay in Georgia, or do you move, or
So I actually, during this time period, I actually was in Chicago. So I sold that company in Chicago. When I
okay,
left radio and TV, I had a non-compete. And so in order to start my ad agency, I had to move somewhere else. So I
right?
actually was in Chicago at the time. And I was going back and forth between Ohio and Chicago. It's only, 4 or 5 hours apart. So, so that I'm in Chicago and sell the company, and start looking for opportunities, and started trying to learn, and found a guy down in Kansas City that was willing to sell me a portion of his companies, and allow me to invest. And so I was looking for that. I was looking for those opportunities that I just created and sold. And older guy
But
who
now you
was
had
in
capital. Now you had capital in your hand.
Nav Capital,
You're a
and
man now.
I'm looking for, I had a theory. My theory was, back then, the aggregation of insurance agencies into a company. So I was thinking roll up before roll ups were even popular, and
You're killing me
so
right
I'm
now.
out. I'm out kind of like looking for that, and I find a guy that's interested in letting me invest in his insurance captive. He's got a property and casualty company out of Kansas City, and I go down there, and he's got quite a few companies. He's got maybe 20 or 30. And, he was looking for a sharp young successor. So he said, hey, he said, after we spent a little bit of time together, he said, quick question, would you ever be interested in operating these companies? I said, well, yeah, I'd love to control my own investments. So if I can invest and control these things,
Right.
like, for sure. And so I ended up taking a position of CEO of Affinity Worldwide, which is that group. And and then I just started going to town, because not only was it my own money, but I had all of his resources. And so
Correct.
so we started going to town. We went from 30 companies to over 86 companies in 5 years. And then that's when we had the big exit, over $1 billion exit in 2019. And I was invested in his companies. I was invested in other companies passively. And it just was a wild 5 years where I took everything that I had learned, and was able to apply it. And it was a great time for the market, from a small
Correct.
business standpoint. You could buy stuff for pretty cheap in 2013, 14, 15. And then 2019 was a peak. Like, I really thought we were at the peak of the market. And so the reason I decided to sell a lot of my assets, because I felt like we were at the peak. I felt like the K wave kind of showed, like, hey, this is where we're at. Like, this thing has to go down at some point. And so I went from thousands of employees and 86 companies down to less than 30 or 40 employees, and had maybe 8 or 10 of those assets still left, right before COVID. So it was that 2019 year, we sold off everything.
What a beautiful turn of events. I
Yeah.
mean, really.
Sure.
I mean, I've interviewed some guys. Unfortunately, I was away during that period,
Yeah.
and watching from the sidelines. And I love, your story, your timing. You seem to have a great understanding of the macro. And now, by 2019, you've managed all the micro elements. So you're really a full-on CEO,
Sure.
real business guy. I mean,
Yep.
so people look for you. Now, in 2019, I want to get to the Aspire Tour, because I get that, and I think that's brilliant what you've managed to do. I've just really learned about it, but I
Mhm.
understood the concept. I'm learning the details, et cetera, from different people now that I'm sort of in the industry. And tell us about that.
Sure. Yeah. So 2019, let me go back just a second.
Yes.
I had built everything on this concept and philosophy. And that was, if I could build a community, then instead of me going out and sourcing new customers, what I would do is I would resource that community, and I'd buy service or products that they already need or use or like, so that I would have a sticky audience. So, like, for instance, I built a big community called Think Realty, real estate investors, and then they were the biggest lead generation for my insurance company that I sold. So I've
Correct.
got this kind of belief system that if you build community, you understand what they spend their money on, where they spend their time at, then you can buy, or create businesses to serve that group. And it gives you bigger enterprise value, stickier user. So my buddy and I, business partner now, Andrew, we were sitting around during COVID, and he says, the live event space has just disappeared. He said, I believe, and he's a big events guy. He's been in events his whole life, and I never really have. He said the first person back to the market is going to have the corner on the market. He said, I think that when things open back up, we should be the first big event out of the gate.
I love it.
And
I love it.
I said, yeah, that makes sense. So I said, well, I'll invest in one, and if it goes well, I'll keep going. So we did our very first event 2.5 years ago in Dallas, Texas, and it was really the first time. Events were starting to pop back up. They were still spacing people out at football games and basketball games.
I mean, how crazy was all that stuff? I can't even begin. 6 feet to get into the supermarket, get wait outside. I mean, they treated us like sheep. I mean, I can't even believe.
It's wild. But so, now we're allowed to rent venues and put people back together and stuff like that. And so we start that year so that was 2022. We really start, going after it. So we launched the first Aspire Tour in Dallas, Texas, and we sold out. We sold out the venue and did really well. And it was really this message.
You remember the details at all? The
yeah.
first one? How many people came, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so we had right around 3,100 people show up.
How crazy is that? What was the average cost?
The average cost is about $90 a ticket, I think.
Okay, I'm aware of the inflationary pressures we live under today. So, but still, because people were just dying to do something, get out of the friggin' house.
Yep, and
you're so smart, bro.
We had Kevin O'Leary, Emmett Smith, Marcus Lemonis, I believe it was Kendra Scott. And we had a bunch of just big business owners that were out just telling their story and just trying to give inspiration back to small business owners. A lot of them are crawling out of the holes that they had been, that been created for them for, COVID. Some of them they were having great success because of COVID. But it was a big first inspirational tour to bring big celebrity type business people out into the public and have them be raw and open with their stories. So we decided to do tour number 2, which was the next month. We said, well, let's do another one in Fort Lauderdale. So we went to Fort Lauderdale the next month. It sold out. And we said, well, let's try Denver. So we did Denver the next month. It sold out. So we were hitting 2,500 to 3,000 people every single event. Well, when Denver hit, we said, let's just plan out the rest of the year. It looks like this thing is going crazy. Well, we are 28 months in a row now of doing these big things. And we've had...
From that time.
From that time. Never stopped.
Bro,
never
it's crazy.
And we've done Madison Square Garden now. We did the Toyota Center in Dallas. Like, we've done some really, really big ones too.
Now let me ask you, really, you advertise, you spend a lot of money advertising these events. Is that what you do?
Oh yeah, probably $300,000 to $400,000 a month in advertising.
And you're advertising online mostly, or totally?
Right. Primarily online. I mean, we do some TV, some radio, some billboards, but primarily online.
Facebook ads, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yep, you got it.
I just want everybody to get an understanding because I believe what you've done is absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
I think it has huge legs. I'm telling you, and enormous. You still have enormous upside. I think you scratched the surface.
Yeah,
I do. I think that there's been a paradigm shift amongst the population, largely as a result of COVID. I think it shocked a lot of people, and people are saying, never again. I want more. And you're actually offering the pedestrians in this world that don't have relationships, connections, etc., an opportunity to step into a new paradigm, a new world. Right. And you're bringing, you're bringing an awareness to people that otherwise might not have that, but you're also giving them the vehicle. You're supplying them with everything. Come here, Kevin O'Leary. Come here, Gary V. Come here, Ross Mandell, this one, that one. People that have been there, that have done that. Yeah. And people that can help you move your own personal needle.
Sure.
So when I was a young broker, I saw Tony Robbins in 1986 in Madison Square Garden, in 1986. And myself and three of us had a private lunch with him. because we were stockbrokers of his, and we were giving him IPOs and making him lots of money and all that kind of thing. We had that juice, and I got it then. I mean, this guy sold out Madison Square Garden in 1986. I mean,
Good.
bro, 39 years ago. And he was amazing then. So it's just really a testament to you and your partner that you created. And how did you come up with the name Aspire? Someone, an influencer said to me, "What a great name!" And I thought about it. I said, you take it for granted now, but when you look back, it came from somewhere and it worked. So tell us about it.
We were sitting around the table in Boston, just we were going to do the event, and we couldn't come up with a name. And we said, "What's the event?" We looked at all the different names, and we were just talking about who we wanted to attract. And we said, who we want to attract is aspiring entrepreneurs, people that don't believe they've made it yet. They feel like there's still this like aspirational desire, like there's still a step to be had. And that was where we came up with the name, and it has definitely taken off for sure.
I love it. And it's you and one other gentleman. Is that?
Yes.
What's his name?
Andrew Cordell.
I knew that, but I just want everyone to see. I followed him last night, just so you know.
Okay.
He's a strange guy, when you just look at him on social media.
Yeah, he's the eccentric one. I'm the operator. He's the crazy visionary.
It's pretty evident, but you're a hell of an operator, bro.
Thank you.
I salute you. Now, it's my understanding that the Aspire Tour is going to new levels now. You're offering a digital opportunity where people don't have to physically go.
Sure.
Explain this process to everybody.
Yeah, we typically just do the big cities. We do LA and Chicago and New York. And it's like you're doing the big cities. And the problem is that we have so many people saying we'd love to be a part of it that we decided to do our very first virtual conference. And we're doing it out at Warray Studios in Vegas. It's a big digital coliseum. And we're actually bringing our speakers in live. And it'll be fully interactive. People, and we're going to have probably close to 100,000 people that'll attend that live.
Oh, and they'll attend it live as well.
They'll attend it live, and they'll get to watch it live, and it's not,
I love it.
Recorded, and they'll get to interact, and they can ask questions to these massive celebrities. And so, some guy sitting in the middle of Nebraska or, wherever else, Iowa, that we're probably never going to have an Aspire Tour stop there. We wanted to provide the same experience. And when we reached out to all of our celebrity friends, they were excited about it. So our lineup is probably one of the most amazing lineups you've ever seen from a business perspective that's virtual. So I mean, we've got every shark, aside from Cuban. We don't have Cuban. We've got all the other sharks. We've got Kevin Costner. We've got Gary Vaynerchuk. Then we've got some crazy athletes like Alex Rodriguez and Lance Armstrong, and I think we have 15 or 17 just crazy, high-level celebrities that are going to be teaching and talking about their experiences and how they got to success.
I love it. And is this going to be? This is not just one day, right?
It's 3 days. Yeah, it's three full days.
Yeah, and what are the dates? What are the dates?
It's June 20th, 21st, and 22nd, and it's just called Business Growth 2025.
I love it. I hope you can hook me up.
I will.
I mean,
sure.
It's a fascinating. It's like you made it like a sporting event. But what is so intriguing is that you're not watching other people play ball and getting 3 hours of entertainment. You know what I mean? So you could just sort of check out of your own reality.
Sure.
You're allowing people to jump on their horse and ride, learn, grow, prosper as a result of what you're doing. My guess is you can move the needle on thousands of young people that are in a rut or don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I just started as an influencer. I literally just started.
Sure.
I put up a website. I did Brad Lee's Dropping Bombs podcast.
Yeah.
400 people, 2 clips went on. One of them is over 9 million views now, but we were not prepared for any of this. We had no idea. I kid you not. We got 400 emails the first day. And everybody wants me to mentor them and mastermind them and group coach and all these. And I'm like, what's mastermind? I just got out of prison. And mastermind is like a bad word when you're in front of the judge. They mark up your time when you consider the mastermind. And I was, of course, the mastermind. So I got 2 points and more time because of that. And I'm like, what is mastermind? And they said, bro, I have a bunch of young guys on the team. Bro, These people want you to mentor them. I said, so what do you want to do? They said, well, you got to have a program. I said, well, we don't have a program. This is a planning thing. I said, what do you think we should do? They said, say yes. I said, I'll tell you what, take 2 guys, pick 2, tell them $5,000, and I'll mentor them. We created 10 hours, $5,000. They said, that's not enough for you. I said, we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Let me just, let me meet some good guys.
Yeah.
And of course, now it's growing and growing like crazy. And I've got amazing relationships with these people. And, that's from just a clip from a Bradley podcast. Podcast was not 400 people. And then it hit me, wow, I live in my own little Wall Street bubble, used to just picking up the phone and making money doing deals, etc. I'm pretty good at it. And from that experience, all the way, I see the brilliance of the Aspire Tour. Because you can't satisfy 400 people. I'm one guy.
Yeah.
It was too crazy. And I like to give people my best. You know what I'm saying? I have a big ego, and I've never failed at anything. And so I want to make sure that I can change the trajectory of somebody's life. But that's what you're doing, and you're doing this in front of I don't know how many millions of people. And because it's digital, it's recorded.
Sure.
So you don't have to watch it right now. I can play it back. I can watch it. I can learn the nuggets, these what we call $1 million nuggets that these brilliant business people just hand you for free. Not free. It's going to cost whatever it costs. What's it going to cost to tune in for the average?
It's actually 100% free. This event we wanted to put on for the masses, and so I wanted to democratize this information, so it's a completely free event.
You're saying it's free?
It's free. It's paid for by the sponsors.
You are smart as fuck, my brother. Do you understand how smart you are?
Okay.
That is so brilliant. 100,000? I'm guessing you're going to have triple that.
We might.
You should let everybody know it's free.
Yeah, we will.
That I didn't know.
Yeah.
I want you to understand. I looked. I didn't know that. My team didn't know that.
Sure.
Free.
It's free.
I'm born a Jewish guy.
Yeah.
And I tell you, you can have every Jew in America sign up because when it's free, it's very enticing.
Yeah.
And I just love it. So your sponsors are going to foot the bill and the digital information. You're like a data company after this event, right?
Sure.
It's a beautiful thing. And when the dates are June 20th. Say it again. I'm sorry.
The 20th through the 22nd. So 20, 21, 22.
And it's in Vegas, so people can actually come to Vegas and buy a ticket.
So
not?
actually, we do have a VIP experience just for 50 people live. That's the only thing we're doing. But then everybody else is free virtually, and they can watch it live virtual for completely for free.
Wow. But not in Vegas.
Yep, in Las Vegas.
So people are going to go to this arena or stadium?
Yeah,
free?
so it's called the Digital Coliseum, right?
Okay.
So think of it as like LED walls completely. It's like, if you see Tony Robbins do his virtual events, they look like this huge circle.
Super cool, right.
Yeah. And so literally when, Kevin Costner's sitting there talking live, he's going to be looking at 100,000 faces in front of him on these screens. He's going to be talking to these people digitally. We will have a small VIP audience of 50 people that'll get to meet the celebrities and stuff like that. But the whole world will watch it virtually from their living room.
What's that going to cost, the VIP experience?
I don't actually know what it is. I think it's like $1,500 or something like that. Like it's pretty reasonable for what.
Really reasonable.
Yeah.
Really inexpensive. 15. I thought you were going to say 15,000.
Yeah. No.
1,500. Wow.
Very inexpensive. Yep.
Is this and you? Now I'm talking to an operator, so I get that. I love building businesses and funding them.
Sure.
I love taking them public. But I don't like operating businesses. I've learned that. I'm an older guy, been through the mill.
Yeah.
An operator technically has to walk the factory floor. He knows everybody by name. And every day he's trying to get these people to do a little more and pay a little less.
Sure.
And that's what a good operator is. Do you know what I'm saying? And
Yes,
it's really a tough chore for men like me to get a guy like you. I'm just sharing that with you. You probably know this, but I'm just letting you know the value of a good operator is priceless.
It is. Yeah,
Truly, if you're
it
with the
is.
right people. Now, this is a question now I don't honestly don't know. I mean, is this a model for the future, or is this a one-off? Or you're not sure yet. You're waiting to see the result in the data.
I think it's a model for the future. We've got an international one planned for October this year. This
Wow,
one, this one
love that.
we're only marketing in the U.S. and then October we'll try to do 250,000 people, but globally. So it is a model, and if you look at just the cost of putting on these events, going to Madison Square Garden, going to the Toyota Center, I mean, it's massive cost, and then we're vertically integrated. So I own the AV company. We own, we actually have the semi trucks that put all these things
You're
on,
paying yourself. I
Yeah.
get it. It's a
And
beautiful
so,
thing.
but in that, it's, this event in June, I get to reach, 100 times the amount of people that I could in a venue,
Correct.
and it
Even
costs
more, really.
and it cost me about a tenth of the price. So it's a huge opportunity for us to just expand our footprint with what we're already doing, if the world enjoys this virtually.
Well, thank you, technology, because what you're doing
Yeah.
is very cutting edge in a sense, and I love it. And so, can you share with us the name of any sponsors, just so we understand?
Yeah, so we have all kinds of sponsors that we don't release until next week. So we do where we'll spend $2 million on advertising starting on Monday to
Okay, love it.
push this amount of people in. So that's when we'll release all the sponsors and all that good stuff.
So big names,
Yeah, big names.
and this is a part of your advertising experience, right? You've done this before in an odd way, right? You sold
You,
advertising,
you got it.
and it's a great pitch, and it's digital, and it's easy to. The greatest thing for me is the analytics in the
Sure.
digital world. You know everything.
Yeah.
You literally can know everything based on your software, and I have a feeling you have the best of the best, and you get to know the most, and it's really great. I salute you. I think it's
Thank you.
brilliant. Who your headline speaker is Kevin O'Leary. I think he's a brilliant guy. I enjoy him. Kevin Costner, interesting
Yeah.
selection, but that movie star power never hurts,
Right.
and the name and face recognition. And my feeling is I've met him,
There.
and my feeling is that it's a great draw. And I know you gave this a lot of thought, and there's
Yeah.
money's involved and all these different things. But like you said, the actual cost digitally is a fraction of what it would be in the physical world, really. And the ability to reach, I mean, truthfully, when you go international, I mean, technically, there's 8 billion people that have, access thanks to guys like Elon Musk and technology like Starlink, where everybody's, got phones and Wi-Fi and hotspots all around the world. It's like the internet belongs to everybody. I think you're doing an amazing job. I love it.
Thank you.
I feel great to have you here. Now, we talked about a lot of business stuff,
Yeah.
but you alluded pretty with certainty to your belief in faith. Well, I believe in God, a creator. I don't care what you call him, Jesus, Allah, Hashem. To me, there's one God. I'm a monotheism guy, and I believe there's one creator, and that
Mhm.
you know it's all good as long as the core values are preached, which are family and love and be kind and be good.
Yeah.
Basic sort of values that somehow the world went friggin' crazy when I was away, and you have all these different people with pronouns and but I feel like that's now retreating quickly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I don't want to be controversial with that, but I'm old school, old fashioned. Man are men and women are women, and family is the most important, etc. Your faith in God, if you don't mind me saying, God,
Sure.
very big for you, correct?
Very big. Yeah, very big for me. I
Share
think
with the
that,
audience a little bit.
yeah, for most people, I believe there's a void that can only be filled by God. And I believe that the very essence of God is love. And because God is love, I think that what we're all striving for and what we're all looking for, at its core is love. And, oftentimes it could be, pointed at acceptance or pointed at somebody valuing me. But I think at its core, it's love. And I think that the very essence or the very origination or source of love is God. And so I think that when we're, on this journey in the, here, and we're trying to fulfill whatever it is that gives us some level of fulfillment or satisfaction or meaning, I think what all people are really looking for is God. And I think that that's what happened to me. My story was I had all kinds of success and, ended up in a very depressed state, wondering what life was even worth living. You got a bunch of money and no one around you to
So
enjoy it.
what, right? So what?
Yeah, who cares?
You
And
take it
so
for granted. So what?
you don't buy it. You buy another car, and it doesn't really make you happy. It's
Well, it does
another.
for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it does. Another vacation, it's just like, what if you don't have people to go on it with you? It's like it's pointless. So, that journey led me to trying to figure out, well, what does bring satisfaction, what does bring fulfillment, and what ultimately brings fulfillment in this life is God. And then God points us to purpose. It's like when you discover God, then all of a sudden life has meaning. And then life has meaning, and it's typically tied to your purpose. Well, for me, what that meant, the evolution of that is in finding God and understanding who God was in my life, all of a sudden I realized there is a higher power, there is a creator God. I was created for something. Okay, now what is it? Like, what was I created for? And then I started looking at the world around me, and it wasn't about building another business or selling another company. It was, what could I do that, makes an impact on someone else's life? I ended up in Honduras at an orphanage with a buddy of mine that I went to college with, and I started giving to that orphanage for the very first time, and all of a sudden started to feel like, whoa, like this feels different. Being able to impact someone's life that can impact it themselves, that gives me a joy that nothing else has given me, and that became my pursuit. So what's interesting is the evolution of this is I had all those exits, really was kind of semi-retired, and was doing a bunch of philanthropic work because it was what was giving me fulfillment. I started a nonprofit called Impact Others,
I love it.
and that company, or that nonprofit, was where my focus was. And you could sell a company for $1 billion and still have more need in the world that you can't service, and that's why I decided to start all this over again. So the Aspire Tour, the private equity firm I own, we're back up to 27 companies and hundreds of employees again, and I'm buying tax firms and all kinds of stuff right now. But the whole reason I do it is to give it away. And so now the nonprofit I have, Impact Others, is in over 100 countries today.
Wow.
We've
God
built
bless you, bro.
Thank you. We've built 26 orphanages and feeding centers. We feed and educate about 5,200 kids a day right now, globally in 100 different countries. We dig clean water wells, start businesses overseas. It's a blast. And so what my discovery of God, led to was that there's a higher power. There's something bigger than me. And if there's something bigger than me that created me, then I must have a purpose on this earth. Then it led to deciding, okay, what is that purpose? And what really began to drive, and I think that anybody's purpose can be different. It doesn't have to be my purpose, but my purpose is really impacting people that if I don't show up, no one's going to show up for them. I'm all for the
I
people who
get
want
it.
to do stuff here in the United States or for veterans or for whatever. I mean, I'm 100% for all of that. But the thing that I feel most, fulfilled is when I'm over there at a leper colony in India, and I know if I don't bring these kids food, nobody brings these kids food, And so
I get it.
knowing that if you don't show up, no one else is going to show up. And then overseas, we build ecosystems. So again, I'm an operator. So I want to create sustainability. So we build businesses overseas, like for instance, in Guadalajara, Mexico, one of our sites. We have a sewing center for people to learn. We have a little construction company. We got a coffee company. We have a little trade school we've built there. We've got 2 orphanages, and it's an ecosystem. We get those kids off the street. They are fed, they're taught, they're loved. And then there's a little trade school there that teaches them how to start to provide for themselves. And then I've got businesses that'll hire those kids. And so it's pretty fascinating. The actual, like, that ecosystem almost covers its entire cost. So I'll seed it to build all those things, but in the end, it's those, or it's the sewing center and the coffee business and the construction company that actually pays for the orphanage and the trade school and all that good stuff. So it's a big ecosystem. And
Well,
we're
you know,
building that in all these different countries around the world.
you shared the sustainability concept, and that's something that people do not understand. An operator
Sure.
understands.
Yeah.
You're at a very high level, my friend, and that's beautiful to hear. And you know, when I was I was pretty wealthy, and making all kinds of money, and it was a little sustainable. The business was sustainable, and I don't want to say I was miserable or depressed because I'm just not that guy.
Yeah.
But there was an emptiness to me that I didn't, more money, more this, more that didn't work. And I had a mentor that said to me, you better find somebody that has worse than you, which was a
Yeah.
lot, and help them, serve others. And I didn't really get it. I was so selfish, and I was so trained to be a money getter, a money taker, all these different things
Yeah.
from my Wall Street training. I never really thought about it, but I started helping people, and you know, I went to a cancer ward at Sloan Kettering Memorial Hospital in New York, the biggest cancer center, and there's a pediatric wing where 95% of the kids that go in never come out.
Wow.
And I built a radiation room and all these different things, but I got out of myself when I was helping others, and that gave me a feeling that I didn't have from
Sure.
giving, and so my life became like a back and forth, like a yin yang, a giving and getting. I get, I give, and so that's what I love. And then I had children, and so I endowed the University of Maryland. I decided my kids have to be educated. They got to go to schools. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start donating money to institutions of learning. And I found many. And I donated quite a bit of money. But my alma mater, I was very proud. I gave them $500,000, 20 some odd years ago. And but I endowed them, and then we annuitized it. We got the school to match and the state to match.
Sure.
So it's in perpetuity now. 3 kids get a full ride in
Yeah.
the business school, under the Ross Mandell Scholarship, the Leaders for Tomorrow program, University of Maryland. I understand what you're saying, and I salute you because, they often say if you want to keep what you have, you better start giving back too. That's another little adage.
For sure.
And you learn that at a youngish age, and it's I'm proud of you, and I want the audience to understand what a great thing you've been doing. I also believe I know the Aspire Tour is for profit, but I feel that you're selling such a benefit. It costs nothing. I'm going to say it costs nothing.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're literally giving away
Yeah.
an opportunity for people to learn, grow, and to become great.
Yeah.
That's what I'm all about achieving greatness. That's what I'm about. I don't chase money or things. You chase greatness and everything comes.
Sure.
You chase money, you'll never have any.
You got
It
it.
will always go right through your fingers. But you have managed to find that beautiful balance where you're giving back and you're profiting, and you're giving back and you're giving back. And it's a beautiful thing, bro. It's the world should know. I didn't know that about you, and my research did not provide that. And so I want to make sure, at least in my little micro world, my ecosystem, I can promote that, because it's really the Eddie Wilson story's got to get out there, bro.
Thank you.
It's a great story, and
Sure.
and your partner Andrew. I mean, you're an interesting cat, but you're very, very. You have your feet on the ground. You're grounded. I love it. I think you're going to be. I think this is going to go to a whole new level. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
And I do believe the international model is even more important than what you have here. And I understand this is a launching pad.
Sure.
I made all my money, my capital, overseas. I first American to take a regulated American company public on the London Stock Exchange. Nobody had ever done anything like that.
Sure.
I did it twice before anybody did it once. I created a footprint.
Wow.
I got punished for it because I'm a disruptor. And, when you screw around with people's money, they get crazy. I thought I was doing a great thing, but I showed a much more interesting and a much easier way to go public, a fraction of the cost, twice as much capital, twice as much liquidity, half the regulation. What's wrong with that?
Right.
And, if you're a bank in Lower Manhattan, you just lost $100 billion in fees and trading profits.
Yeah.
Because everyone's going public over there for nothing. you know, becoming a reporting company and then swinging it back to America. But so I salute you, Eddie Wilson. I think the Aspire Tour is not what I thought. It's a serious endeavor, and you're about, in my opinion, you're about to. It's like you're on a rocket ship. You might as well be on one of Musk's little missions to Mars, because I believe you're going to capture the whole world.
Thank you. Appreciate
I
that.
know there's challenges involved, obviously, but you know, today with AI, different languages, there's things that people can do.
Yeah.
Someone showed me, I'm talking for 20 minutes on a clip, and some guy sends it back to me, and I'm talking Hindi. And like, it's me. It's like my likeness and my voice, which is sort of distinct. You know, I have a very distinguishable voice. And speaking Hindi.
Yeah. It's amazing.
And they said, "What do you want? Farsi?" Click a button. You know what? You know, and what? And so, you know, that opportunity alone, coupled with what your platform is, wow.
Yeah.
That's so great. I'm just thinking how many people you're going to help. And as an advertiser, what's better than the digital world? Because everything's, the analytics are gold, the data. Yeah. Is there anything I'm missing, Eddie? Anything that you want to cover today? We only have a couple of minutes left.
Nope. If anybody wants to connect with me, they can always just catch me on social. I'm pretty active on answering DMs and stuff like that. If
Do you really?
Yep. If anybody has questions on buying, selling businesses, happy to help entrepreneurs. Eddie Wilson Official is all my social handles.
Okay. Where do we find the Aspire Tour? Tell everybody how to find
The Aspire Tour, you can go to aspiretour.com, or for the business one, if you go to businessgrowth25.com, businessgrowth25.com, put in there /Eddie, EDDIE, and I've got some special gifts in there for you. So they can go in there and sign up to see this conference in June for free.
Okay, so they can watch it while it's going on from June 20th, et cetera.
Live.
Or they can probably, you'll offer up, opportunity to look at to play back the show, right?
You got it.
That's so amazing. I mean, outrageous, man. And you're still doing the monthly Aspire Tours around?
So the monthly, we got Orlando next week, and then we've got San Antonio in July, and Dallas in August. So.
And maybe Tokyo in October. I mean, you know, I love it. I'm just saying that boy, for an operator, you're busy, boy. That's a lot of moving parts.
Yes, sir.
Because those monthlies are in person, right?
In person, yes, sir.
People go. Pay
People
tickets,
go.
right? You have VIP, you have red carpet stuff, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. Yep. We do every month.
I just want everyone to have a clear picture. Eddie Wilson, Aspire Tour, free, June 20th. Tune in, and we'll have all the links in the bio. I'll make sure that this gets out before June 20th. And it was really a privilege to get to know you today and to chat with you. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
And you're doing a great job, and I look forward to more great things from Eddie Wilson.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.